Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? This is Joe, Figueroa, with another video in our series Anatomy of a Dance, where I break down social dancing count for count, pointing out everything the dancers do. This week's video is another 3 pieces of cool. For this one, I chose this dance with Fadi and Jessica. Fadi Fusion is a dance instructor and performer in Spain, and Jessica Patella is a member of the legendary dance team Tropical Gem in Italy. The full dance is barely 3 minutes long, but there is a lot packed into it, especially toward the end. I might mention a few other things, so it might be more like 5 or 6 pieces of cool. So here's your chance to subscribe and ring the bell, because we're starting right now. I'm going to try to make this one short, so I'm jumping right in. First, this quadruple spin. Yup, 4 spins. Now Jessica is a master spinner. I'll get into that in a bit, but this high and low technique could be done with any multiple set of spins, even just a double. What I want to show is Fadi's use of hand connection in order to accomplish this. Try to look beyond the hop. It is cool, but not necessary to get this result. All of the normal components of a multiple spin are here. Fadi implied a hard break or back break. They used compression in the arms to meet in the middle. Fadi has brought her into his perimeter. He now has complete control of the upcoming movement. Raises his right hand up to her eye level and receives her left hand at the meeting point. All of this happens quickly, and as a training dancer, it is this preparation that a lead would want to perfect. Once you have this, the rest comes much easier. Now for Jessica, all she has to know how to do is spin. And I think that you can see that this is no problem for her. Jessica isn't wondering, is this going to be 2 or 3 spins? She knows that there is technically no such thing. There is no leading technique that would inform a dancer in mid-dance that an upcoming movement is going to be 2 or 3 or even 4 spins. Follows should train to receive information for either 1 or more than 1. That's all that matters. The technique for a double is no different than that for a triple or more. So remember, follows, practice for a single or multiple. Back to Fadi. He made his hand connection. Everything about his preparation is like a machine. So he begins the multiple spins. He knows that Jessica is like a Ferrari. She's going to go from 0 to 60 in the blink of an eye. So he uses this to his advantage. Starts with a double spin with his right, her left. Actually, before that, he gave her a bit of a launch with his left handhold. I do this as well, but sometimes forget to mention it. You start by pushing off with your left in order to begin the follow's spin to their right. I'm not saying it's mandatory, but it is helpful. Now the double is complete. Fadi uses standard technique, pressing his fingertips into the palm of her hand and having them rotate during her spin. This is commonly taught. Notice leads that his hand is palm down during the first 2 spins, as if he is pressing down on her. Now we get to the 3rd spin in the sequence. Fadi did 2 things here. First, he brings the hand down to her waistline and then back up to complete the remaining 2 spins. This is the magic trick, the hop I mentioned earlier. He gets way up off the ground here. The illusion is that it was in some way needed, but it wasn't. He could have accomplished the same amount of spins without it, but there's no theater in that. What you might not see is what he did with his hand in order to get this done cleanly. See, after the 2nd spin was done, Fadi quickly switches from using his fingertips in her palm to twisting his wrist clockwise, bringing his palm up instead of down. It's blurry, but you can see it here. His palm is up. He engaged his wrist in order to continue the movement with the momentum that already exists. After that 3rd spin is complete, it's just a matter of turning the wrist back counterclockwise to get to the original position. Fadi does this but adds to the difficulty by lowering the handhold to the waistline again, making the 4th spin low at the waistline, never once breaking hand connection. Very well done by both. Leads, this here is something that I talk about in my classes every week. When raising the handhold from low to high or high to low, it always must happen right in front of the follow's face. That's just kinesiology. If you want to attempt this, you don't want to risk hurting the follow. So when you go from low to high or high to low, do it in front of the follow's face. Otherwise it's happening behind their back, and arms don't typically move that way. Next I want to talk about solo spinning. Both of them do this here, so it's a great example for a how-to. First let's look at Fadi in this spin battle that Jessica clearly won. I know it's not a competition, but she did. Fadi begins from a cumbia or enchufe movement. After they have both traded places, Fadi brings his handhold, his left, her right, down to his waistline. They're dancing on 2. So he breaks back on 6 during the enchufe and steps toward her to trade places during the steps 7 and 1. See here that he stepped down with his left foot on the count of 1, brought the hand down as he brings his right foot behind him to give himself a launch point. Now this is unorthodox and all Fadi. Most anyone else would step down with their right like a hook turn and take off, but not him. He touches down with his right foot, but only to give himself a push, and begins the spins on his left. So cool! He gets 3, that's right, 3 done on his left, and then switches to his right for 1 more. Goes into some Cuban rumba, a little Colombia style. The gauntlet was thrown, and Jessica is no pushover. She delivers. Notice follows what she does here. Another thing that I am constantly telling follows to do when they spin. Use your arms. So many students, both leads and follows, leave their arms down toward their sides during spins. That's just wasteful, throwing away good technique. Look here how Jessica stretches her arms out to their length, then swings them inward toward her middle. Look at the symmetry. Hands at her hips, elbows out, keeping her core tight, feet together. As the spins begin, she raises her hands up her body, as if she was taking a shirt off. Once the hands reach her face, she takes hold of one wrist and completes the movement, bringing both arms up. Now this was a triple, but the technique works with any amount of spins. Even Fadi uses his arms to create momentum. Look here how he has his right arm across his body to his left side. As he touches down with his right to begin his spin, he swings his right arm from left to the middle. In addition, he lets her hand go with his left hand and brings the left up in a swinging motion to have both hands in front of him. There's that symmetry again, even down to the arms being perfectly aligned, skin to skin, sleeve to sleeve. He positions himself as if he is holding something in front of him. That is what makes this look so good. Back to Jessica. Here is her executing the same technique again moments later. She is finishing her shines, reaches her arms out again to gain momentum, swings her arms in for the first spin, then expands them again. She does this 3 times. See? 1, 2, 3. On the third, she repeats the technique from the previous sequence, brings her hands to her hips, begins to raise them after she has committed to the multiple spins, and off she goes. Holding the wrist, feet together, core is tight. I'm saying this part with all respect and as a professional. Follows, look at her glutes. She has those cheeks clenched like I do when I'm about to drive over a huge pothole. That's a tight core, and it's doing all those things that make this look so good. The last thing I want to talk about is referencing balance. There is a movement that you don't see too often called a Cuban Cart. There are variations of the Cuban Cart. They do 2 back to back, 1 clockwise and 1 counterclockwise. Both use the same techniques. First, after the back break, Fadi brings Jessica toward him for a rotation. Once he has placed his hand across her back to guarantee that he has her in frame, he steps with his right foot toward her, creating an axis for the rotation. What a lead should do here is use the follow's momentum to carry the rotation while the leads maintain position. Fadi raises his left foot here. It has a certain styling element to it, but secretly it helps the lead maintain balance on the right foot, the axis. But that was just a test really. A way for Fadi to assess if he can stay balanced on one foot, if he can do it with only one handhold, and how much momentum he will need to put into Jessica in order to commit to multiple rotations. The testing is complete and Fadi has all the information he needs. So right away on the next count, he begins to take Jessica into a counterclockwise rotation. He implements the exact same pieces. Steps with his right toward her to create the axis, already has his hand to her back and uses that to create momentum in the follow. Even raises his left foot again. This time he has his leg extended outward. This is to help keep balance. You see those bounces? That's him fine-tuning his stance, making sure that he won't fall out of this. Once they are committed, Fadi can play. He crouches down a bit, bending the knee, making himself more compact, thereby making the circle smaller, which in turn makes the rotation smoother. He has his left leg extended back a bit to help balance. For as much as I talked about what Fadi did, the movement, like all, are a shared experience. It takes two to get this done well. Jessica just walks in the direction that is given to her. She doesn't panic and rush through her steps. She keeps pace with the music and Fadi's lead. This right here is a clinic on how to do a Cuban cart properly. And there you have 3 pieces of cool with Fadi and Jessica. I've danced with Jessica many times. I have a video of she and I that I plan to do a breakdown of soon, so stay tuned for that. This content is for you to benefit from, so any feedback you might be able to give me would be greatly appreciated. Comments, likes, and even dislikes will help me to provide you with the best content that I can. That's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one, and remember, keep dancing.